Well, howdy. I swear I have a shirt on. I know. The camo, I'm blending in. It looks like I ain't got nothing on. Ooh, I swear I got one. I'm sorry, that was a bad joke. But today, we are getting creepy. Today, I'm on the subreddit Ask UK, and I found this thread. Have you experienced anything creepy in the UK countryside? If y'all know me, y'all know I love me some scary, spooky, creepy type of stuff, you know? In the UK countryside, that's kind of like the place I live, but in Kentucky, in America. So not like it at all, but like in the country, you know, this is where we're at. The woods be scary, so today we're gonna see just how scary the UK countryside is. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you want to see more videos like this, let me know by hitting that like button. But other than that, let's get on up into it. I remember on my 18th birthday, I took a walk through a nearby forest and some fields. I saw a red glow coming from the end of a path. I walked towards it slowly, and it was this red light in the middle of the dirt path, and a group of people standing around it in a circle. Oh goodness. One was in a wheelchair. Okay. It was about 1 a.m. I sprinted out of the fields and back to where the houses were out of fear. If I remember correctly, stargazing groups use red lights if they need to illuminate their surroundings, because red doesn't mess with human night vision as much as other colors of light. Yeah, so it was probably just like a group of stargazers or whatever. But dude, imagine walking through a field at 1 a.m. First off, why are you walking through a field at 1 a.m. for your 18th birthday? What type of creepy stuff are you into? Okay, that's the real question. But no, if I was doing that and I seen a group of people in a circle illuminated by a red light, my head would instantly go to demonic Satan ritual. 9 times out of 10, if there's a group of people in a forest in the middle of the night, there's probably not nothing good happening, you know? Not me, but my mom, when she lived on one of Shetland's North Isles. If you've not experienced Shetland, it's very odd to begin with. Practically no trees anywhere, huge big open skies, incredibly sparse population outside of Lerwick on the mainland, ferries between the islands, local shop that are only open a few hours a day, neighbors who will let themselves into your house just to say hello. Hey, no knocking or nothing, they just come on in. It's also dark, very dark, for a very long time in winter. That's terrifying. Okay. Anyway, she's been out on one of the other islands, and because of the time of year, the ferry was late due to bad weather. So she's driven back in a lot later than intended. Doesn't see a soul on the drive home and hasn't left any lights on in her house. That's fine. She waits in her car for a minute for her eyes to adjust, then gets out to unlock the front door. As she goes to unlock it, she realizes there's something on the doorstep. Weird, because the postie came in the morning, and people knew to leave stuff for her in the overturned feed box at the end of the drive if she was out. She investigates. Oh god, this is getting serious. It's a bucket. It sloshes. She opens the door and turns on the porch light. It is a bucket of blood and bones. What? A bucket of blood and bones that she later discovered had been left by one of her crofter neighbors, huh? After slaughtering a sheep as a gift to her German Shepherd. A lovely gift. Just maybe leave a note next time. Oh my. Dude, I thought it was gonna be the leftovers of one of her neighbors. No, they slaughtered a sheep and was like, hey, let's take all the blood and bones over to the neighbors for her dog. Like, what? Incidentally, Shetland in the dark is unsettling, even without random blood buckets. Yeah, I'm not afraid of the dark and never have been, but the darkness and silence on some of those islands is like a weighted presence that you can practically feel on top of you. She no longer lives there. Yeah, I mean, if somebody brings me a bucket of blood and bones, I'm probably gonna, get on Zillow and start looking at some other houses. So, that's insane. Like, yeah, nice gesture, but dude, send me a text or something. Goodness. Also, I'm probably not gonna give my dog a bucket full of sheep bone and blood. Like, that can't be healthy for him, you know? You're just asking for the worst type of dog farts in the middle of the night. Like, bro. During lockdown, I'd go out on my bike at midnight as to avoid dog walkers and joggers. Towards the end of the section, I cycled through a forest path and noticed a ring of white stones that had been arranged in the middle of the path. I didn't think anything of it until I passed the same area 5 minutes later on my our return journey, the stones were gone. I have never cycled so fast and so long in all of my life. Bro! So he's seen just a circle of stones in the middle of the path, like kind of hard to miss. And didn't think nothing of it, then came back and they were gone. Oh, bro. Like, the stones ain't the scary part. Who's out there moving them between the time you passed them and came back? That's the scary part. Just a circle of stones. Like, why? Why would that be there? And how did it disappear? That's the better question. These might not be what you had in mind, but your post has triggered some memories for me, so I'm going to tell them anyway. Years ago, I was wild camping in the lakes. Wild camping? What is that? We'd gone for a walk through some woods in the early hours of the morning and walked through a farmer's field. Tons of sheep, and they look creepy as F on a night, just a bunch of eyes, oh gosh, yeah, silently staring at you while remaining a few feet away. That would be terrifying. Obviously, being young lads, you're not going to admit anything is creeping you out, but I noticed that the conversation died and we all started walking a bit faster, so I know they were weirded out too. Another time in the lakes, me and a mate were on quite a high dose of LSD. Okay. And we both saw what looked like a giant monkey running vertically up a cliff. Sir, that's probably just the LSD talking. Almost certainly just the drugs, but it was weird how we both pointed it out at the same time. Hold on now. Yeah, no, that is kind of weird. Like, if only one of you seen it, yeah, just the drugs, but you both seen it at the same time? Was there a giant monkey running vertically up a cliff? You know, I say that's weird, but one time when I was like 14, I was over at my buddy's house and we had like a bunch of friends staying the night. And three of us were outside at like 6 a.m. We haven't slept yet. We were outside. And dude, on everything I love, my other two friends will tell you the same thing. We seen a white monkey swinging from tree to tree. We ain't got monkeys here in Kentucky. But behind his house was just woods. And I swear to you, all three of us seen it. A white monkey swinging all the way through the trees. So, you know, as 14-year-old boys do, we took off running into the woods trying to catch it. We ran around the woods for like an hour looking for it. We seen it swinging and then could never see it. We never found it. Were we sleep deprived and just hallucinating? I don't know, but I swear to you, we seen that monkey, so I feel this. There was no LSD involved, I can promise you that, though. One night, whilst driving back from the cinema in Staffordshire with my mate and his girlfriend, the country road was dipping down and then back up. I had full beams on and everything was clearly lit. A shadow so black it absorbed all the light from my full beams, moved into the road ahead of the dip, stopped for a second, then moved across to the other side. Excuse me? We all saw it. It may have been something to do with the dip or the car lights or something, but man, it freaked us all out, and we drove home in silence the rest of the way. It was the blackest black I have ever seen. Total absence of light at all. More than a shadow, a black hole. Haven't thought about it in 20 years. Dude, if the road's like uneven and like say somebody's like coming towards you with their headlights on, even like the slightest bit of dip makes it look like maybe they're like flashing their headlights at you. Like, it makes the light change so much. So like, yeah, that could have been something to do with it, but that being that dark, dude, he said it absorbed his full beams, bro. Like, it's already terrifying, like driving at night on like a back road. It's just dark. There's no street lights or nothing, just the darkest of dark roads. There is something like very, very terrifying about that. So if something like this happened to me, bro, I already hate driving at night. If something like this happened, yeah, nope. The sun ain't up, I ain't going. Years ago, I was a countryside warden, sometimes called a ranger. Countryside warden, dude. That name is 1,000 times better than like a park ranger or something. A countryside warden? I'm not messing with that, dude, no. In the not very scary at all home counties. Off the top of my head, I either witnessed or had trustworthy colleagues who witnessed innumerable dead bodies, most often from fresh to severely decomposed. Oh my goodness. A truly disgusting bag. Of soupy human body parts found on land adjacent to a motorway. Oh my god, I don't know if I can read this. Oh my goodness, cheese and rice. Inexplicable big cat paw prints. Excuse me? Okay. I'm not reading that last sentence. Y'all see it. Y'all see it. Goodness, bro. Why are there so many dead bodies all The soupy human parts in the bag must have been a murder, surely. What about the big cat paw prints? Yeah, we need some more info. You can't just tell us you've seen this stuff and then not give us the stories. It was over a number of years. The very first I saw was a guy who had gassed himself in his car. Bro, I don't know if I want to read these. Like, I'm here for, like, scary, spooky ghost stuff. Not like this, bro. This is... oh. My only ghost story happened on a pitch-black country lane winding through woodlands in the middle of the night. Me and my girlfriend at the time, in our early 20s, driving back to our tent from a day out in Newquay? I've never even heard of that. We are loosely behind another car going maybe 40-50 miles per hour. That's maybe 300 meters ahead, that suddenly swerves into the opposite lane. I notice it and I'm a little confused, yeah. Maybe 3 seconds later, when I approach the same spot, I find out why. Oh gosh, here we go. As I approach, my headlights quickly illuminate some feet, then legs, a torso, then suddenly the face of a woman who is staring right back at us. Excuse me? She's just standing smack bang in the middle of our lane, dressed in Victorian clothing. I swerve into the incoming lane. My girlfriend screams and covers her face and tries to physically get away from her window where this creepy woman is now passing by. Oh my goodness. Once past, I look into my rearview mirror to see nothing. Okay, bro. What? It takes maybe 2 minutes of driving to get to a roundabout where we are both pretty shook up talking about what the F happened. And much to my girlfriend's dismay, I decide to go back. Oh gosh. And see if this woman is still there. I'm adamant it's a crazy lady. A real physical human. No such thing as ghost. We start driving back very slowly. Yeah. And get to where it happened. And there's nothing. Nobody. I'm too scared to get out and look around. My girlfriend is almost literally dookie in her pants at this point, but I had to verify. There was nothing there, so we drove back to the campsite and had a terrifying night in the tent. Yo. No. Seeing that and then going to sleep in a tent, it has to be 1,000 times scarier. I wish I could talk to that car in front to validate what we saw. I have her face seared into my memory. My eyes water a little when I think about it. My best guess is it was an insane woman looking to off herself, and I very almost obliged, bro. I assume she just then wandered back into the woods when we returned. The Victorian garb is the icing on the ghost cake. And the only bit that puts doubt in me, yeah. Like, we've all heard stories of, like, you know, people just jumping out in front of cars and stuff, but why would she be wearing a Victorian garb? Like, and you definitely know something was there, because, like, the people in front of them also swerved. So something was there. They both, two different cars. People that don't know each other at all, seen the same thing and swerved to miss it. And then it was gone. Dude. This dude is definitely me, though. Seeing something that scary and being like, oh my gosh, that was the scariest thing ever. Let's turn around and see if we can't see it again. Yes, about 3 years ago, me, my girlfriend, and another couple went away to Rockingham Forest in Peterborough to stay in a log cabin for New Year's, there we go. On New Year's Day, we fancied a takeaway. And as you can imagine, many places were shut, bar one fish and chip shop about 5 miles away. I drove there in pitch black, grabbed the food, and began to make my way to our cabin. I was using my maps on the iPhone, so just followed the route that it led me. Next thing I know, I was completely off the beaten track, driving through pitch black woodland roads. And pretty worried. Yeah, you should be. To make matters worse, I then pulled up to, in what I can only consider the middle of nowhere, a train crossing on the road that was down and flashing. Okay, this feels like a setup. Somehow, some way, this is a setup. So I pull up, no other lights other than the ones from the signal of the barrier waiting for it to lift. Complete pitch black. I look in my wing mirror, and there's a car pulled into a little hideaway about 10 meters behind where I was, with 4 blokes in it. Excuse me? Sat there in pitch black, staring over at me in my car. Oh, goodness. You could only faintly see the outline of the vehicle, and it was only the outline of their bodies in the moonlight could I see there was actual people in there. Their engine and lights were off. I was 99.99% certain I was going to get kidnapped or robbed of my car and was dookieing myself. For what felt like about an hour was probably 2 minutes tops, I was stuck at this barrier waiting for it to lift. Eventually, when it did, I absolutely bombed it down these country roads in fear I was being followed, but luckily I wasn't. Scared the absolute F out of me. Fish and chips made it back safely as well, which was a big plus. There we go. Yeah, no, that's scary. The fact you're on like a random back road, don't know where you are, off the beaten path, and you just so happen get stopped by a train, and then you look over and there's 4 people in a car just chilling. No lights on, nothing, just looking at you. Yeah. I probably would have turned around. Yeah, found another way. You probably interrupted dogging. Yeah, probably. Yeah, okay. That's probably it, if we're being honest. Alright, one more, because I'm starting to get scared. Alright, I'm about to turn every light on in my house. When I was a teenager, I used to live in a small village. To get to it on foot from the main town, you had to walk about a mile along a footpath across the fields. Forget that. The path was not lit at all, and the village also didn't have any streetlights at the time. I was walking back along the footpath late one night after being at the pub in town. I heard someone coming up behind me, which freaked me out, as you never met anyone at this time. As they got closer, they said, "Hey, my name. Don't worry, it's Paul." Okay, it's just Paul. We know Paul. I thought that's odd, as I don't know anyone called Paul. Never mind, we don't know Paul. Run. He started walking with me, and I didn't recognize him. But it was very dark, although he seemed to be a similar sort of age to me. He was chattering away to me and asked about my parents and brother, asked how work was going, and knew the company I was with. He knew a fair bit about me and spoke as though we were friends, and we had known each other for quite a while. I think you might know Paul. When we got to the village, mine was one of the first houses on the street, and he carried on up the road. It was a dead end, and there was only 4 other houses up there, so I assumed he lived in one of those. The next day, I asked my parents if they knew a Paul who lived up there, and they said they didn't. My dad was out later that day and saw someone who lived at the end of the street. He asked about Paul. They didn't know them. Who the heck is Paul? What is happening? And it became a bit of a longer conversation, and they checked with the other neighbors at the end of the street. No Paul the night before or ever. Excuse me? I never saw him again after that night. Several months later, my dad was at the village pub and chatting to one of his friends from the village about Paul. His friend said that many years ago, there used to be a Paul who lived in one of those houses at the end of the road. He had died in a car accident while he was young. Oh. It could have been that the Paul I met walked up the wrong street to go home before realizing his mistake and turning around. I wouldn't have noticed, as I was already in the house by the time that would have happened. Still doesn't explain how he knew me and my family. Exactly. I never saw him again, and how nobody seems to know who he was. I don't believe in ghosts, but this has stuck with me for being very odd. Bro. Cheese and rice. The fact that, like, he knew so much about her, but she'd never seen him before in her life. And he just walked up with her, just chatting with her, asking about the family, and nobody knew who he was. And then just so happened, a Paul died in a car accident that used to live on that same street, bro. Oh, gosh. Maybe that's the Paul, and he's just like has a special attachment to her for whatever reason. Maybe because they're like the same age, and he just likes, you know, he watches over her. I don't know. That is crazy right there. Imagine having an interaction like that to somebody who you think is human, right? You're just walking, talking, they know about you. You don't know anything about them. You don't even know a Paul. But they're asking all these personal questions, and you're answering, and then turns out nobody knows him. And like, bro, that gave me cold chills, bro, thinking about it like that. Goodness. But alright guys, that is going to do it for some scary UK countryside stories. If y'all want to see more Reddit videos like this, let me know by hitting that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you plan on walking in the forest at 1 a.m., you might run into Paul. So, hey, just talk to him. He seems nice. So, I love you guys so much. It's JTReacts, and I'm out. Peace.